back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Time decisions. SportsGrid. Monday night. What an evening we have. Kevin Walsh with you live from the decisions desk. We have playoff baseball live still to come, and a fantastic cap to Week 5 in the NFL with the Jags and the Chiefs. Jacksonville at home, a 3.5-point underdog against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, as the Chiefs look for a 3-2 record, above 500 first time this season, and would find themselves tied for first place in the AFC West after all of the concern, which was fair, after an 0-2 start and staring down the barrel of 1-3 as they were booked as home dogs to Baltimore. The Chiefs can absolutely turn this thing around and maybe argue they deserve the spot as AFC favorites. Who knows? Maybe Jacksonville, with a win here tonight, would argue they deserve a spot as AFC favorites. I would say the current AFC favorite has not done enough to at least justify the gap the market offers up, because the Buffalo Bills closed out the Sunday slate with their first loss of the season to the New England Patriots. Shifting numbers ever so slightly. Josh Allen's MVP status goes from minus to plus, but still the favorite. The divisional numbers moved significantly, and rightfully so, for Buffalo. All of a sudden, college football style, little Penn State-ish. A lot of bad teams on that win column. Just saying, Buffalo. Just saying. The Bills, though, not the only unbeaten team to see that 0 turn to a 1 on Sunday. The defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles blow a 17-3 lead in the fourth quarter as the Broncos win that game 21-17. And the Eagles win or lose. The story is what is going on with the offense. They go throw. And the results were fine until they weren't. A.J. Brown stopped short on a go ball. It's never his fault. Somehow, some way, Saquon Barkley popped up on the injury report. All signs is he will be good to go. The Eagles play on Thursday against the New York Giants. The NFC East did see some market movement due to a big win for the Commanders in LA against the Chargers. We will track and follow all of that and all of the fallout that was this Sunday slate. But we will continue to follow this baseball board. We'll get some help from none other than Donnie Rightside here on a Monday with his Phils in action against the Dodgers. Fascinated to know how Donnie capped this game, where I know there's a lot of love in the market for this over, booked at 7.5 in a game between Snell and Luzardo. So far, nothing doing. Though there was a little bit of a threat early in that opening inning, a bet singled followed by a Teoscar Hernandez walk. Freddie Freeman had the chance to open this game up. Luzardo worked out of it. A Blake Snell walk in the bottom of the first inning was the only base runner with Bryce Harper getting on that we've seen so far. We are in the bottom of the second in what has to be a gotta-have-it game for the Phils. Nobody's looking to go down 0-2, but unlike the Yanks, at least they're going back to the Bronx. The Phils would be heading to Hollywood with this deficit. A gotta-have-it spot, a spot they were not booked as favorites in, mind you. I'm rooting in a Phils over 11.5 total bases here. I think that if they get to Snell, then they'll really get to the bullpen. The Phils have an opportunity to stack them. You're going to need a home run or two to get through that number. We'll be tracking this one. Again, we're going to get the help of Donnie Rightside here in just a little bit. We will also talk a little Brewers-Cubs. Shota Imanaga gets the ball for Chicago. Aaron Ashby will open it up for Milwaukee. The Brewers jumped all over the Cubbies in the opening game of this series. The Brew Crew booked his favorites here in game number 2. A big positive for Milwaukee is Jackson Chourio, who had spent a lot of this season, it felt at least, banged up. Back and right back at it when you talk about the postseason. 3 hits and 3 at-bats with 3 RBI and a run scored. Left that game early. Maybe the day off did him good. He's in the lineup tonight at the top of that lineup where he'll be looking to tee off on another lefty starter. It was Boyd the lefty who got the go in game 1 for the Cubs. Imanaga gets the go again here in game number 2. We have also, just over this weekend, we saw some teams, like I mentioned Penn State. We saw some teams who were at the top of the national championship market tumble. Penn State, notably, 50-1. Texas, not as much. Texas is 20-1. Same price as unbeaten Ole Miss and unbeaten Indiana. And I think for Texas, and the 2 losses that they currently sit with, I understand, like, hey, or, you know, hey, we'll run the table, or hey, SEC, it's 9-3, it's tough. We only have 1 loss in conf. I get all that. But as somebody who backed Texas last weekend, they've not looked offensively like a team who's anywhere near capable of running the table. The defense didn't have its best day. Dallas Wilson, the true freshman for the Gators, looks like a true future first-round pick, top 5, top 10 at worst pick. But, look, a defense has a bad day. It happens. The offense has got to be able to answer the moment in one of these games. This college football Saturday is going to get a lot of buzz throughout the week. It is loaded with relevant games. Ranked. Illinois hosts Ohio State. Mizzou hosts Alabama. Oregon hosts Indiana. And then you've got a number of key spots. USC hosting Michigan. Utah is favored at home, hosting a ranked Arizona State. A&M hosts Florida off the big win. Are you guys seeing this? Again, the Red River rivalry. Texas and Oklahoma. So a lot of big spots here for the college football slate that we will follow, again, along with the NFL movement. And what do we do again with this Monday night here? Monday nighter, Jags, Chiefs. A statement is up for grabs. Again, a Kansas City win, we're the best team in the AFC. And I think they can make that claim with the victory. But if you're Jacksonville, you're at home, extended rest, you got to be able to take advantage of this spot. 3.5-point favorite. Jacksonville checking in right now across the card. Total checking in 45.5. This game's not moving really at all. And there's a couple of key guys in this game who could really use a step-up spot. Maybe none more so than Brian Thomas Jr., who feels like he is knocking on the door of getting back to it. But it's got to happen here in this spot against KC. Super excited to break this game down. We got a great crew stopping by here on this Monday. We're going to talk about the big injury news that happened out of L.A. with Amarian Hampton, UNC rookie running back, now with the Chargers, first-round selection on IR. We're going to get some help from Adam Kaufman. But next, Donnie Rightside on a Monday night on Game Time Decisions.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Buka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Ted McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch him over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live on SportsGrid, Game Time Decisions. And we got an MVP coming to the plate. Not Shohei Ohtani, good old Donnie Rightside. DRS, we had to do it till you catch him on the early line Monday through Friday right here on SportsGrid. But there's just too much to talk to, DRS. And it was one of those things where it's like, well, you know he's going to be around because you got some big-time playoff action going on in the city of brotherly love. Let's start with Phil's Dodgers, DRS. What were your expectations heading into game number 2 of the NLDS?
Not high expectations because of what you saw in game number 1. The reason I say that is when you have chances to beat a team in the postseason, I don't care if it's the Mets that sneak in. I don't care if it's the Dodgers that look like world beaters, the Toronto Blue Jays. A 3-run lead at home, that has to be a win. That's money already paid out. You're looking forward to game number 2 and really putting the screws to the Dodgers. The fact you lost that game now says to the city of Philadelphia and the fans, like, it's panic mode at this point. You're waiting for a hero, Kevin, to step up at the plate. You're waiting for another 4-run lead, so you might have to sweat this out, and you know that's not going to take place. You gave a game away in a 5-game series against a talented team, Kevin. Sometimes, look, I don't know if they can come back. Speaking as a fan, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a spot, Donnie, where I expect our offense to actually have themselves a bit of a game here.
Yeah.
But, I know it's only 2 innings. Snell looking good early. It could make it troubling. Let's stay in the world of Major League Baseball. We've got another NLDS game, too, tonight with the Brewers and the Cubs. Is this one that something really stood out to you for?
Yes, actually it did. Like game number 1, if you said, Donnie, what are you taking in both of these games? Game number 1, 7.5, I said the under in this game because I just think the Phillies will struggle with Snell. It's almost like a wait-out game, Kevin. I can see comes down to the bullpens, 3-2, 3-1, 4-2 type game. I look at the opposite here in game number 2. Ashby's going to open up in this game going against Imanaga, but Imanaga, since August the 1st, Kevin, the highest ERA on the card today, which isn't devastating at over 4, but he's still in that, I don't want to say quote-unquote last place. The one thing you love, sometimes you say to yourself, Kevin, the superstars are supposed to carry you in the postseason. And I just told you, joking around with the Philadelphia Phillies and Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, somebody's got to step up. It just seems like 1 through 9, the Milwaukee Brewers, every single guy can cut you on that baseball team. And they've been red hot down the stretch, red hot at the plate. And why can't they get 4 to 5 runs tonight, which brings me to the bet, over 7.5. I do think Chicago's going to score, but I think Milwaukee, Kevin, is getting 4 to 5 runs, which will put you right in the chance to get that over. Under in the first game, over in the second.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, Donnie. The Brewers and a player on the Brewers made a little bit of history, actually, I think, with this game here tonight. First time I've ever seen you be wrong about a hamstring keeping a guy out. Whoa, whoa. Okay, hold on.
I'm not.
Hold on. I'm listening.
Understand this. If you are bettors out there tonight, and hey, man, Churio's fast. He's going to steal base. He might steal it. Then he's going to exit the game and not be seen again the rest of the series. I'm shocked by this. If you have to leave the game because you're injured, and I know he's probably a pretty good talker, let me get this action in. There's no way. And also, Kevin, this plays in big to it. Let's just say Churio's on second base in the 7th inning with 2 outs and a single up the middle. He's going to either tear that hamstring going home or he's going to get thrown out. Otherwise, he lied altogether and he just wanted to get out of the game to build drama. A hamstring injury will come back to bite you tonight. 1st to 3rd, Kevin, on a single to the outfield. He's not doing that. So I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I didn't know if maybe it was just like an idea on how baseball versus like football, where, listen, in baseball, it's fine. We can probably get through. In the NFL, you can't, whatever it might be. Yeah. But I saw you were tweeting about it. I was like, man, I wonder if he's going to start. And then he actually did.
I love it.
Let me go over to, I'm going to slow build it here. So I go to Tigers Mariners. If I know you, Tigers losing the school ball start means they're done, despite stealing home field. Is that where you are on Mariners Tigers?
Again, it's a 5-game set. Like you had your ace on the mound, maybe the best pitcher in baseball, to really turn the screws on a franchise, and you let that one slip away. So now Seattle's already puffing their chest out. We got 1-1. We feel like we're 2-0 going back to Detroit at this point. They're the better baseball team coming into the series. We talked last week. I thought Seattle would win the series. That is a huge, huge advantage for Seattle.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Aaron Judge, Donnie, because this is. I think it's been a fascinating postseason for Judge so far. I don't think I can get there on he's been bad when he's batting .444 and has multiple hits in 4 or 5 games. I don't think I can get to he's been bad. But I will say, I don't think Aaron Judge has rewritten the narrative of postseason, drops down to postseason superstar. Where are you at on Big 9-9?
I'm almost letting him off the hook, Kevin, because of how bad the Yankees have been, right? So you look at the bats that are just coming alive for Toronto. It's like, well, what do you want him to do? Like, this will go down in history 10 years later. Like, well, he's not a bad player. Look what he hit, 444 in the playoffs. Wasn't his fault. But you can't do everything. Like, if he hit Kevin 444 and the Yankees lost 3-1 in both of these games, like, he's carrying this team. Nobody's helping him out. But the simple fact of the matter is they're just getting outplayed. So he could hit 700, Kevin. Unless he's hitting 3 home runs a game, it really doesn't matter. Like, they're not even close right now.
It's so interesting, but for Judge, right now, the defining moment of this postseason is bases loaded, nobody out, strikeout.
Whoa, come on, brother. Yeah, come on.
It is, Donnie, right? Like, that is, of all the moments, that's the defining moment. I am not saying for Judge legacy talk, they have to win this series. Donnie, he probably has to hit multiple home runs before the series is over, though, no?
Yeah, and force like a Game 5 because he forced the Game 5. They go out with a whimper, Kevin, losing those 3 games. Nobody's going to remember Aaron Judge went 2 for 3 in Game 3 and had 2 singles and an RBI. Like, nobody's going to remember that. You're remembered by doing big things in big moments. Imagine he puts that ball in the gap, Kevin. You're starting to rewrite, and now he's like, you know what? I'm a player performer. Here I come. It's just tough for the Yankees. You can't even say, Kevin, you ran into a hot team. Like, the Yankees were just as hot as Toronto down the stretch, but the team's going to score double digits off like your best pitcher, Max Fried. What are you going to do?
I will say I have appreciated, I assume it's hit your timeline, some of the accusations that have come Toronto's way because of how hot the bats are. I don't know if, Donnie, have you seen any of this? They're saying they've got cameras in the hotel room.
I love it. I love it. They got the guys in center field looking down. I mean, what's Sandy Alomar, Robbie Alomar up there checking down? Oh, my goodness, man. I love the accusations because if they go on the road, Kevin, and score 2 runs, bring on the conspiracy theories, man.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Look, Donnie's going to stick around, okay? I want his thoughts on Monday Night Football. And then, of course, what is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles next.
Bob.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat on during the trade deadline. You know, a lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh joined by Donnie Rightside. Catch him on SportsGrid Monday through Friday mornings with the early line joined by Joe Ranieri. And Donnie, I am sure that you guys have previewed Jags-Chiefs, a huge game in the AFC. The winner probably, even if inaccurately, could make an argument they're the best team in the conference. Buffalo opened that door with their loss last night. Are you leaning aside in this game, or are you looking more for prop action?
I stayed more on the side of I like the Jaguars when I saw the initial line at +3.5 because I just don't see the explosiveness. Keep in mind, the Jaguars have a decent defense, which means they can get after the quarterback, which always gives Patrick Mahomes problems, specifically on the road. And I don't know how explosive the Chiefs are going to be on offense. Now, Worthy comes out this morning as questionable. He's going to give it a go. It's like, oh, it's no big deal. No, it is a big deal. You're coming off a separated shoulder and also now an ankle injury for the guy that's supposed to be your speed guy out there, which opens everything up. And you look at the running back position. What is Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt? Stop the madness right now. I look for the better overall football team tonight to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, like a 23-20 type game, Kevin, which could go either way. That's why I lean to the points at home. Do I love it? No, but I think the Jaguars will be competitive, and I'll take the points.
It's going to be a really fun game to follow. We're going to have best bets, primetime producer parlay, and all that action still to come here on our show. All right, Donnie, Eagles-Broncos.
Yeah.
We did a Pro Football Today earlier. It turns out I'm angrier than I realized with A.J. Brown as it relates to this game. But where are you right now with the Eagles' first loss of the season?
I wish they would have got beat fair and square. Oh, Donnie, you're an Eagles fan. It's spilled milk. Just do yourself a favor and just go refs on Sunday or refs NFL. Nobody popped up and was like, man, the Denver Broncos, look at all the penalties they had. Stop the madness. It takes a lot. The Philadelphia Eagles don't lose football games. You have to have your finger on the scales, which is exactly what the refs had yesterday in that football game. But also understand this, Kevin. What do we do when we watch TV at times during basketball games? Ball don't lie, or a fumble in a game after a bad penalty. Ball don't lie. You have to understand this. I am a conspiracy theorist. The Denver Broncos probably raised hell when they got robbed in Indianapolis. And then NFL goes like, we'll give you a game a little bit later. How about if we kick it back? We can't have the Eagles run away with the NFC East. Like, we got primetime games. Give the Eagles a loss on Sunday. Because that's what it actually looked like yesterday to the common folks, which is me.
Yeah, I think that the refereeing down the stretch was not great, Nani. But the Philadelphia Eagles, it's not like everything's been great, right? And it's, they lost a game. There's constant chatter around this football team and specifically the passing game. And what I've realized, Donnie, like where I'm at on this situation is there's a lot of pressure when you're one of the best teams, and there's just pressure that comes in the NFL. The Eagles' pressure is amplified 5x, 10x because of A.J. Brown, because of his tweets and his comments and his press conferences. And he quit on a route that would have ended the game, given him his 100 yards and a touchdown, which he cares so much about. And instead, here we are. Donnie, he's a great player. You can speak to it probably better than me. One of the best receivers the Eagles have ever had. He is right now hurting this team more than he is helping this team.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look because understand this. And the next year, Andy covered up for him, and he was partially right saying he got rerouted because he did. But understand this. Jalen Hurts threw a perfect pass on that. That little stutter step, like, I don't think we'll get the football. Oh, no, that ball is coming to me. Made it look like, oh, man, Jalen Hurts, you overthrew the guy. No, he didn't. He put that football where he thought A.J. Brown would be running top speed, and A.J. Brown wasn't there. It doesn't look good right now. Can fences be mended? Yes. But I'll tell you this right now. The fences were mended last year, and why was everything good? Guard, center guard last year was elite for the Philadelphia Eagles. Guard, center guard has not been good at all by anybody's standards. And if you can't run the football, it doesn't open one-on-ones on the outside, which you love. Shell coverage can beat you now because you don't have to have 8 men in the box to stop the Philadelphia Eagles run game. And now you see that Saquon Barkley has a possible knee injury on a short work week going up to New York where he probably won't play on Thursday night. And away you go at this point. Something has to be fixed. And it's not just winning because the vibes in the locker room, Kevin, watching it for a 4-0 team, looks like a 1-3 team coming into that game on Sunday. And now they finally lost. They're still 4-1, but I'm not getting that, hey, everything's going to be just fine. It almost feels like 2 years ago when the Eagles opened up with that 10-1, like, hey, I don't even know if we're that good or who we played. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it's more stress than – it's not like the people of Buffalo, Donnie, they're upset they lost, right? But it's not this feeling, and I think that is – self-inflicted, to say the least. DRS, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of this game. Best of luck. And we'll talk to you again probably on Thursday.
Yeah, by the way, Travis Hunter, 100th-ranked wide receiver in football. Show up tonight. How about 40 yards, kid? Let's go.
Sounds like DRS might have to alt Hunter down for 25 plus. We'll talk more football next on Game Time Decisions.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Live on a Monday night on SportsGrid, it's Game Time Decisions. We've got action between the Phillies and the Dodgers live right now, scoreless through 3. We've got a lot of football to come, but of course, with the way the NFL calendar works, we're always not figuring out just what is happening today, but what will be happening over the next few days, few weeks. And for the LA Chargers, they got some tough news following a tough loss that will impact next few weeks. Let's talk a little bit more about that with Alex Insdorf, who covers the LA Chargers and does a great job doing so. Alex, we've talked a few times, heading into this Chargers season. I remember we got to speak before their opening game of the year against the Chiefs, where they made a huge statement, and they continue to make those statements starting 3-0. 2 weeks later now, a 3-2 LA Chargers team feels very, very different, especially with Kansas City having the opportunity to go to 3-2 tonight. There's a number of ways we can attack this, but what is your assessment now of this Chargers team through 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's right now a combination of they're not talented enough. They've lost a lot of bodies to injury, like Omarion Hampton, who will miss the next 4 weeks. Multiple offensive linemen injured now. Khalil Mack, who has been injured for the last couple of weeks. So just from a talent standpoint, I don't think that they've had the ability to go back and forth with some of these teams they're playing. And then on top of that, the execution errors, the special teams penalties, the 24 penalties in the last 2 weeks. So when you are at that talent disadvantage and you don't have your top guys, you can't be beating yourself with the penalties. So that's really what it's, I guess, felt like the last 2 weeks in particular for the Chargers.
Injuries starting to stack for this group, Alex. The most recent news today, Omarion Hampton is headed to IR. This was a pass-happy Charger team to start the year, and it was very encouraging. Hard to imagine that changes now with their first-round rookie running back set to now miss 3 or 4 weeks of football here.
Yeah, you got to go more pass-happy. Omarion Hampton was really the only back that they trusted to be on the field, particularly after Najee Harris's injury, who already tore his Achilles and is done for the year. They trust Kimani Vidal and Hassan Haskins to be there in spots, but certainly the carries, the targets, the snaps were dominated by Hampton, I think, against the Giants last week, he played 58 of a possible, 63 snaps or something like that. I would assume prior to his injury, the snap percentages were pretty similar against the Commanders. And so, Jim Harbaugh said today it'll be him, Haskins, Vidal, Mar Johnson, who they have on the practice squad, and I'm sure they'll also probably look at some external names as well and churn probably some of the free agent market.
What do you make, though, of this wide receiver room, Alex? It may be more interesting to the better the fantasy player, but it's Ladd McConkey, what an incredible rookie year. All of a sudden, Quentin Johnston has this breakout. Keenan Allen still has a lot of juice. When the dust settles, how do you think that trio ultimately ranks in production?
Yeah, it's a tough one because I think everyone is kind of doing their job, but it's probably not super satisfying to fantasy managers who are, seeing 40 yards a game, 40 yards a game, 40 yards a game for each of their receivers, except, maybe QJ gets a touchdown. I think that they've made it clear that they are just kind of willing to get the ball to whoever's open. Keenan Allen is that guy on third downs. QJ is kind of the guy for deep shots. Ladd, you also have in the intermediate. So I don't think there's necessarily been one guy that's going to get those consistent targets like you see on a lot of other teams. And right now, the issue with the offensive line is those long developing pass plays where, you're going to throw a bomb to someone. Like, those plays don't exist for them right now, I think, because of the offensive line. So it's a lot of quick game concepts, which I think benefits a lot more Keenan Allen in that regard, and going to him over and over again, more so than, setting up the long plays to QJ, which just yesterday weren't there as much as they were, in the previous weeks.
I think one of the interesting things for the Chargers, and why certainly, look, you need guys around the quarterback, right? But the excitement on a year-to-year basis, a lot of it has to do with Justin Herbert. And all of a sudden now, if QJ's got his feet settled and Keenan still has juice and Ladd is as good as he is, there's at least a good enough wide receiver room around Herbert if he's playing well. I saw somewhere, I admittedly don't remember where, Alex, someone online who's like, I promise you Herbert just had the best game any quarterback has ever had for a team that only scored 10 points. You review the film. Yeah. You see, you watch this guy every week. What did you see from Herbert in this game against the Commanders?
Yeah, I think there's no better sequence than the one that they had, I think, in the third quarter, where they're backed up in their own territory. He hits a shot on for like 15 yards to Quentin Johnston, called back, holding penalty. The very next play after that was a hole shot that he had to Keenan Allen. Picks up a first down. Illegal formation. That's coming back, right? Yep. So I just think you saw both the brilliance of Justin Herbert and just how much, unfortunately, his team kind of failed him yesterday with the offensive line situation, the number of sacks, hits he's taken in these two games. I definitely think on tape it was a better effort than the one against the Giants. I thought it was a really, really good effort from Herbert. And, I think the people who are not as tapped into the Chargers will obviously see the scoreboard and be like, well, the one interception he had was one that got tipped at the line of scrimmage. So it's just like, it's not to make excuses for Herbert, but right now, for as well as he's playing, the rest of the team just doesn't have the guys right now outside of the receiver room on the rest of the offense to be able to kind of support him.
I think the interesting thing, though, Alex, for the Chargers and maybe Herbert more specifically, this year will be judged on what they do in the postseason. And when you start 3-0 in division, there's no world you would think no world you're not going to be playing postseason football. And while this 2-game losing stretch isn't great, if you look at the schedule, they are probably favored in each game before the bye. Maybe not at Jacksonville, but there's still runway there for this group. So when we take an overall view of an AFC that I think's been underwhelming relative to expectations, how confident do you feel in this Chargers group getting in the postseason and being able to make a level of noise when that starts? I know we've only played 5 weeks of football, but the temperature checked on October 6th.
Getting to the playoffs, I'm there. making noise in the playoffs. I really do think they have been battered by injuries in a way where I'm starting to kind of doubt that. But obviously, there's time to get some of their key contributors back, like Joe Alt, like Khalil Mack, who will come back, like Omarion Hampton, who will come back later in the year. But like you said, I think their schedule through the next 6 weeks until the bye is manageable. It's just a matter of, how many more injuries can they take, and, can they get through that stretch 4-2? Can they get through that stretch 3-3 and, find a way to survive and stabilize, as opposed to, what these last 2 games have been?
It's gonna be a lot of fun to follow. There are going to be a lot of eyes and questions asked around Justin Herbert. It'll be a lot of fun to watch it all play out. Alex Insdorf joining us. Alex, we really, really appreciate it. Follow him over on Twitter at AlexInsdorf99. Does a great job breaking down the LA Chargers. Alex, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Great stuff, as always. It's a Charger team, they do have to get healthy. You need Joe Alt back, but there's opportunity. There's meat on the bone. We'll be right back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Ashton Genty, between yards and yards before contact and yards after contact, all these sorts of, they're giving him nothing. He is getting hit constantly behind the line of scrimmage, multiple yards behind the line of scrimmage, and frankly, at this point, I think he's essentially out of the race, and this is partly due to Emeka Egbuka having a great year, Tyler Warren putting up big numbers, Tet McMillan, I think, is maybe the most talented player overall in the rookie class.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Monday night, Kevin Walsh here. Update on the Dodgers and the Phils. 4 innings played, 1 hit recorded. 1 hit. Blake Snell has a no-hitter. He's walked 2. He struck out 7. Luzardo has only given up 1 hit, 5 Ks. It's good pitching. Here's the deal, though. If you are the Phillies, you've already lost the game. You're at home. I don't care how good Snell is. It's unacceptable, man. It's unacceptable to be getting bullied like this so far. We'll see if they can right the ship. Can I just add another watch point, though? So Ohtani, first game of the playoffs, first at-bat, gone. 2-home-run game. Since that, he's been atrocious. He's been pretty bad. Now, it's not a lot. It's not a huge sample size. But in his last 14 at-bats, he has 1 hit. It's not great. It's not great. And again, some of the Ohtani postseason stuff was weird last year. I expected better. Didn't cost him in game 1. But we'll see. We will see. At some point, you would think this game opens up, but I don't know. Snell looks absolutely dialed right now. Let's talk some football here. Let's get some picks on the board, shall we? Made you wait long enough. You want to come out of the gates hot with a primetime producer parlay? Let's do it. Xavier Worthy, anytime touchdown, Chris's leg. Sam goes De'Ami Brown for the 20-plus receiving. AJ goes Travis Hunter, 30-plus receiving. Plus 482 on a primetime producer parlay. Favorite leg might be the Worthy touchdown. Call me crazy. Not playing it, but I like juice in this game. Crew best bets. I'm on the over 45.5. I think that these are two offenses that are going to have big nights. Explosive plays on the field for both of these clubs. KC, I think, found something last week against Baltimore that needs to keep on rolling. I think Jacksonville just has more juice than people realize. That offense isn't clicking yet. It has to click here in this game. It's a huge Liam Cohen spot. Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, these guys got to get moving here. Chris is on a Jags first half team total over the 9.5. Nice find at a minus 135. Most books going 10.5 there. That's a nice find at minus 135 for the first half total. One book I saw had the 9.5 in an alt market at minus 180. So again, that's a nice piece of business. How about Pacheco's long run over 9.5? For Sam, there's a piece of me that won't quit Pacheco, still thinks this guy can figure it out for Kansas City. I mean, last week, 7 for 35. That's 5 a tug. Long of 12. Week before that, 10 for 45. That's 4.5 a tug. Long of 10. Isaiah Pacheco, 4 yards per carry. I don't know. He may be getting his legs under him. Stop giving the ball to Kareem Hunt. He stinks. He's a bowling ball. Cut it out with that Kareem Hunt. AJ Jags plus 3.5. Not a coward. I love that from AJ. I do. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not on the Jags here. I feel like I should be. But I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the over. I have to imagine for Mahomes to have the game he had last week, 4 passing touchdowns. He looked fantastic. Passer rating, tick under 125. That needs to be how it looks more often. I believe that, and I think that absolutely can be the case. I do. Look, I'll be the first one to call out a bad number in an awards market, right? Like, we talked about how terrible the Jaden Daniels number was. We were 4 weeks into the season. He had missed half the season. They were flipping him like a 12-1. Right? He since moved all the way back. Even after the big win against the Chargers, he's now in the 30s or 40s. Mahomes sits plus 470, closest by far to Josh Allen, right? I think that's valid, which feels like that shouldn't be possible. But for Mahomes, I think there's going to be a ton of grace given for the slow start due to the injuries and circumstances. The rush work was so good, it kept the pedestrian passing numbers afloat, right? That's why the QBR was shiny. And like, that was real work he was doing, right? Like, the run stuff was so good. You throw 4 touchdown passes against Baltimore, kind of end their season. That's strong. But you really shift the perception in the conference. And for Mahomes, he has a run out here to become favorite. Now, it's going to be tough. Monday night against Jacksonville, big game. That's going to help. They play Detroit next week. That's a game of the week. Beat up spot at home against the Raiders. And when I mean beat up spot, I mean light them up. Light them up. Washington again on a Monday night. Now, to be honest with you, you don't need that one as much. Because then you play week 9 in Buffalo against Buffalo, and maybe you, I don't know, beat Buffalo in the regular season once. Now, it's not really a great Kansas City spot. I actually think you're going to see Mahomes as a full field goal dog in that game. But the Mahomes price isn't a bad price. It's not a price I need to bet right now. Because if they lose this game here, they're 2-3, and then you're staring at the Lions. It's like, well, hold on a second, right? Like, it's on the board, by the way, that the Chiefs lose this game, and in their first 3 home games are a home underdog in all of those games. Those lines are out, but they will move based off how tonight looks. You know that. So for Kansas City, this is a really important one. Like, I don't think it is a, for Jacksonville, this is a statement. It moves them up a tier in conversation win. Right, they gain a lot more than Kansas City gains in a win, but the Chiefs lose a lot more than Jacksonville loses in a loss. If you're the Jags, you're still looking wild card, game back of the Colts. Like, you're fine. Kansas City goes back under 500. That's interesting. Let's do some market movement Monday after the break.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on a Monday night. Market Movement Monday, shall we? Baltimore Ravens, we're looking at you. This division was supposed to be a runaway for Baltimore. When you look, though, at how this is all shifted, right, it's a fascinating bit of movement. Because Baltimore, at the start of the season, were favorites, but there was some respect for Cincy in the market. Then They lose week 1. If you remember, Cincinnati got a win. Pittsburgh got a win. So things get shorter a little bit. Then all of a sudden, Baltimore Baltimore becomes a huge favorite to win the division because Burrow gets injured. Pittsburgh loses at home to Seattle. Ravens beat up the Browns, right? And if we could show that market movement graphic, that'd be great. The Ravens, though, inability to win games does not match up with it entirely, because these are all like after these results, right? After week 3, after week 4, and they just won't budge from their status as favorites. So when you pull up the Ravens schedule, we try and figure out, do we back this team? Do we fade this team? Is it worth actually betting this team at such a small price to win the division that they at one point were minus 354, right? Is there value on this team maybe in the AFC? They have better odds to win the AFC now than they had to win the Super Bowl before the year. They're 7.5-point favorites next week at home against the Rams. If they pulled off a stunning upset, it would change the entire thing. But the idea is they would have to pull off that upset without Lamar. That's why the number is as big as it is. The Week 7 bye week, I believe, is throwing a lot of things off. It feels as if because they have this Week 7 bye, there's just this assumption that Lamar will miss Week 6 and be back for Week 8. I wonder how this would look if there was a Week 14 bye. Would it be this certainty that he is out Week 6? Also, would there be this certainty that he is back Week 8? It's fascinating. But let's say the market holds. And let's say that Lamar Jackson misses Week 6 and the Ravens lose and go to 1-5. They will go to the bye week. And then let's just take a look at their next set of games. Home against Chicago. If Lamar is back, they are favorites. At Miami, they are favorites. At Minnesota, I assume they are favorites. At Cleveland, of course. Home against the Jets, they're laying a touchdown. Against the Bengals, who knows who quarterbacks at that point, but certainly won't be Joe Burrow. They are favorites. Pittsburgh at home, favorites. At Cincinnati, favorites. Home against New England, 9 straight games that Lamar would be back for, booked as a favorite in all of them. So if they fall to 1-5, and let's say Lamar goes 7-2 in those games, they'll be 8-7 with a trip to Green Bay and Pittsburgh still remaining. They'll be live for the division. They'll be live to make the playoffs. But this is almost impossible to bet confidently unless you fully trust the Lamar return. I know the defense has been what's really let this team down. They're going to get a couple of guys back. I think Kyle Hamilton and Ronnie Stanley could play this week against LA. I think they definitely play Week 8 against Chicago. But if Lamar's back against that schedule, there should be enough for the Ravens to stack wins. It sounds crazy, but a team that I had considered betting a preseason Super Bowl future on, in the same division as the team who I did bet my Super Bowl future on, at having one win heading into Week 8, believe it or not, could be worth a Super Bowl future. We'll talk about the Super Bowl favorites losing on Sunday night with our next guest, Adam Kaufman, right here on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid. Football today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions live on SportsGrid. Got to congratulate everyone. If you're like, hey, I'm not doing great today, you only have one less hit than either the Dodgers or Philadelphia Phillies in a playoff game. So you're doing all right. You're doing better than you think. We bring in someone who's doing pretty darn good. That's Adam Kaufman. Does a great job here on the SportsGrid Network and dons the New England Patriots gear, a touching tribute, but also appropriate after the biggest win many have said the Patriots have had since Tom Brady was last their quarterback.
It's up there. I'd have to really think about it. I think there have been a couple. I mean, obviously you could count them on one hand and probably on two fingers. There have been a couple of good, really, nice feeling wins, what felt like fairly significant wins at the time over the course of the last handful of years since Brady has been gone. But I think what puts last night in Buffalo above all the rest is that you knew, I mean, at least after year one, even if we wanted to convince ourselves during the 2020 season that, hey, maybe they've got something here in Mac Jones, you knew pretty quickly after year one that he wasn't the guy. And obviously Bailey Zappi was never the guy, and some of the different guys that have come along and, start here, start there, not the guy. As soon as Drake May was drafted, like with any team that takes a quarterback in the top 5 of the draft, you say, okay, could this be first a guy, and then could it be the guy, right? That's the conversation that every fan base has. And over the last year plus, basically a year's worth of starts at this point, because remember, Drake May was not the starter out of the gate during his rookie year last year. That was Jacoby Brissett. There have been some, encouraging performances and, I think some flashes of what could be upper echelon talent within the scope of the league. But going into this year, it was, we're going to find out, despite having very little in the offense around him, if Drake May has the talent, has the ability to be a top 15, dare we dream, top 10 quarterback in the NFL in the short term. And what you saw last night, and really what you've seen of late, this is now, I think, 3 straight games where Drake May has completed at least 70% of his passes. But the composure late in the game, the rapport, obviously, with Stephon Diggs, which, my God, the way that he has looked coming off the torn ACL, like a bona fide, true number one wide receiver in the NFL again, and the revenge game narrative there in Buffalo against his old team last night. So I'm sure that was circled on the calendar for a while for him. But for Diggs and May to link up the way they did throughout that fourth quarter, where May was perfect, he was near perfect in the entire second half, the way that he avoided contact, the way he kept his composure, showed some agile, athletic ability, obviously, and just darts to win in prime time, an island game in Buffalo, handing the Bills the first loss of their season, the first loss of, that they've suffered at home in the last 14, and to knock off the team that is still the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. That was one of those announce your presence types of wins for the New England Patriots. And we talked about this. I've been screaming since the offseason that the Patriots were a playoff team. And I think a lot of people needed to see something like that last night to start to believe as well. And this team, unless it shoots itself in the foot the way it did against Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, ironically, Dave Sharapan's team, you're going to see a stretch of wins here. They may win 4, 5, 6 in a row just based on what this schedule is in front of them. It's a joke.
Well, that is the biggest thing for New England, I would say, Adam, is you can have an easy schedule, but if you're not a serious team, it doesn't matter. Winning in Buffalo now makes that schedule truly pop the way it was supposed to preseason. I think what I left that game fascinated by, though, and give New England a ton of credit. Drake May had incredible moments. But now Buffalo's resume, right? It's not very strong. There were two teams with a pulse that they've played. They didn't cover the opening number against either. And in fact, both games were home and they finished with a resounding point differential of -2. They didn't cover against Miami or New Orleans. They beat the Jets. Oh, wow. Their one road game was the Jets, the only winless team in the league. I am not going to say that Buffalo won't make the playoffs. That's ridiculous. That's not the bar, though, for a $2 separation Super Bowl favorite. When you watch Buffalo last night, when you watch this team through 5 weeks, do they feel markedly better than the rest of the league, which is, I think, how they've been priced? Certainly markedly better than the rest of the conference.
Well, I guess I would ask you, does anyone? I mean, truly, if ever...
But they're the only ones priced that way.
Fair, but if ever there were a year in which and it's early, a month plus, but if ever there were a year in which it feels like the parity is out of control in the NFL, I think with the Bills, part of what is baked into the price there, well, there are multiple things. One is just the preseason number and that being what it was, and obviously you knock off a team that you were head-to-head with, essentially, in the Baltimore Ravens, but the way in which the Bills came back to beat the Ravens in week 1 in that primetime meltdown, really. I mean, it was more Baltimore losing the game than Buffalo winning it. I don't think anyone would argue against that, but still, they came out on top. And then you're 4-0, you haven't lost. Even if you beat the soft teams, I will never, indict a team for winning the games that are on your schedule. That's the conversation that we always have about teams like the Arizona Cardinals, right? Like, well, you got to beat the bad teams, and then you find out if you are a bad team or a mediocre team, or dare we say a good team, and usually Arizona shows its colors in due time. Hell, maybe it did as recently as yesterday against Tennessee. But for the Bills to go out and win these games, even if they're relatively close because the defense isn't what it's supposed to be just yet, while the offense continues to score 30-plus points per game and 30-plus in every game, at least heading into that game against the Patriots, who do have a respectable defense. I don't know. I mean, look, if you want me to say there's value in betting the Bills to win the Super Bowl, of course there isn't. There wasn't before the year either, but that's just because the team is that good. The team is viewed as one of the top teams in the conference. The team has the most valuable player on its roster, at least the reigning MVP, if not the current. And so, yeah, I mean, look for some value. You got to dig a little bit deeper, but I still think that number is going to get closer, not to even money, but it's going to get closer to even money as the season moves along, because I think this is a blip on the radar for the Bills.
So I think what you get there to at the end is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not even saying I have a problem with Buffalo being booked as the Super Bowl favorite, but there's only one other team in the AFC East that has a pulse, and they just lost to them at home. So for me, when the Bills, when you can bet just because someone's a favorite doesn't mean they have value, right? Like, obviously, you know that, but I think sometimes people occasionally, it's like, hey, there's value on the Titans to win the Super Bowl. There's no value on the Titans to win the Super Bowl. Just because it's 200-1 doesn't mean that there's any value on that number. Does it feel like Buffalo right now is set up to massively beat their current listing, or should they be back with others? And I in this moment feel like they should be back with others. Detroit's looked much better than Buffalo. Even when you scale it for opponent, they both sit there with the same record. Detroit, I'm sorry, I know that this will bother people, but Detroit has the same postseason pedigree basically as Buffalo. Neither one of them are going to make the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just what it's been, is it not? Just because Josh plays well in the losses?
Yeah, historically, obviously, you wait for teams like Buffalo, like Baltimore to melt down in the games that matter the most. That's just the way it's been because Kansas City is perennially there. But you look at the upcoming schedule for the Bills, and yeah, you lost at home to the Patriots. A win that means a lot more to New England than the loss does to Buffalo. But you are now going to Atlanta, a win. You're going to Carolina, a win. You're hosting Kansas City. If you win that game, you are now getting a much worse number than you're getting today.
Yeah. All right, we're going to have Adam stick around. Let's get some thoughts on Monday Night Football next right here on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do. Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid. First real sign of trouble for Blake Snell. Walks catching up to him. He's walked 4. He's now walked 2 in a row. Turner and Schwarber on first and second. Up comes Bryce Harper. We'll keep you posted on anything happening there. But the Phils could sure use their superstar to step up here with a base knock, if not more. We're joined by Adam Kaufman, who we went over the state of the AFC a little bit through the lens of Sunday Night Football. I think the AFC gets another shock tonight with whatever the result really is between Jacksonville and Kansas City, because if a Chiefs victory is what we get, then it's business as usual. Tied first place in the AFC West, here they come type of situation. A Jags win, I think, really knocks the Chiefs off of the level footing they've seemingly found. Plus, here come the Jags. All of a sudden would be sat at 4-1, tied with the best record alongside anybody you want for the best overall in football. Are you finding any value on a side here tonight, Adam, or looking somewhere else?
So I do like the Chiefs to cover the number in this game. Now, I would rather invest differently. Maybe that's, just Kansas City on the money line and put it with a couple of props I like and get a reasonable number on a parlay, or, even go cross sport. If you like the Brewers to close out the Cubs tonight, put the, two money lines together, that type of thing. There are all sorts of, as we know, there are many ways you can approach this thing. Hell, put it with preseason NBA if you want to. But if you were intent upon betting a spread, I do like the -3.5. I'd feel better if you got it at 3 back when it was that over the course of the last several days. Seems to be universally 3.5 at this point in time. But I still just think, despite the records, because Jacksonville does technically have a better record. And like you said, even early season, there's a lot on the line. If Jacksonville wins, you're talking 4-1, tied for first, AFC South. If Kansas City wins, you're talking 3-2, and in a three-way tie for first in the AFC West. But more so, it'd be 3 straight wins for Kansas City, and just kind of reminding them who everyone else, who the bleep they are, all this stuff. Like, I'm donning the Patriots colors, Kev. It reminds me of 2014 Trent Dilfer national broadcast talking about how the Patriots are dead 4 weeks into the season and their run is over and the dynasty's over. People were talking similarly about 0-2 Kansas City on the heels of the Super Bowl hangover. And look where they are and what they're doing and who they beat the hell out of last week for Baltimore, injuring Lamar Jackson along the way. I think this is one of those opportunities in prime time where Kansas City can show that it is the better team. Jacksonville so far has faced the likes of Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Jake Browning, a hobbled Brock Purdy last time out. Like, they should be stacking some wins. Now it's the Chiefs' opportunity with a much tougher quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. Xavier Worthy, who popped up on the injury report with the swollen ankle or whatever was going on, and shoulder issue as well. He's going to be out there. I expect he's going to be fine. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be playing, and he's going to play. Mahomes is going to be mobile, which he has been throughout a good chunk of this season already, and there's no real run game to speak of in terms of Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, so don't be shocked if Patrick Mahomes leads Kansas City in rushing tonight. They have big playmakers, or at least the big play potential beyond Worthy, of Hollywood Brown, of Tyquan Thornton. Travis Kelce's going to get his usual 3, 4, 5 catches and short yardage, and they're just going to find a way. I don't know if they win going away and it's a boring game that you turn off at halftime, but, a 6, 7-point win, 10-point win, I think that's very realistic for KC tonight.
I think it's going to be really fun to see what the Chiefs offense brings to the table here, Adam, because they scored 37 in their last game. Second fewest points anyone has scored against Baltimore this year, to, put that into perspective. And I think that will add to the intrigue of it all. While we still have you postseason baseball on right now, postseason baseball still to come tonight. Of course, tomorrow we get the AL portion of it back underway. Is anything standing out to you right now as you watch all the postseason action?
Yeah, I'm floored that the Blue Jays are pummeling the Yankees the way that they are. I'm not, if you had said to me, hey, Toronto's going to beat New York in a competitive series, okay. I mean, who'd be shocked by that? Obviously, they were essentially even by the end of the regular season. Toronto winds up winning the division and, gets to sit out the wild card round, and the Yankees come back, beat the Red Sox and all of that. But the whole thing about Toronto was, absent Bo Bichette, who's not on the roster here in this postseason series, he's still hurt, was, can this team hit? Is it going to find a way to generate offense, especially against some good pitching on the other side? And the Red Sox saw that firsthand. And what do? They go out, absolutely destroy Max Fried. They've scored, 25 runs-ish in the first 2 games of this series with really no resistance. I know the Yankees made it closer when the game was already over in game 2. It was 13-1 or whatever it was, turned 13-7. I mean, they weren't in the fight. The thing was done. So the fact that Toronto is just eviscerating the Yankees right now surprises me. And I think the Yankees are done. I mean, I don't see them reeling off 3 straight wins here. I'd also say that Detroit taking it to Seattle. I thought Seattle was going to have its way with Detroit in this series. And, I don't know. Their bats have gone quiet. The Tigers pitching has shown up again, which had been missing for so long during stretches of the second half of the regular season. Knocked out Cleveland, got the ultimate revenge after blowing that big lead, obviously, in the Central. And now it just sort of feels like the teams that were hot early, that had kind of gone quiet and didn't play real competitive baseball for a while, have gotten hot again at the right time.
Yeah, I think for the interesting thing, I think overall for the Yankees is it's not about winning 3 in a row. It's can you win at home, and then it's a game 5, and you kind of see, and that's cliche, and that's how it all breaks out. I think almost the biggest thing that stands out, though, with how Toronto has looked, and I know people in Toronto will find this to be unfair, but with how Toronto has looked, they have, I think, fully proven they can win a World Series. I think there has still been a level of hesitation with them in that regard. They were booked as dogs in this series. They made their bread with their big offensive games. And when the playoffs started, they went, here's 20 plus through 2. This is who we are. And for Toronto, that's how it has to be. So it's a Blue Jays team that is absolutely for real. Adam, appreciate it as always, man. We'll check in again soon, I'm sure.
Look forward to it.
Great stuff there from Adam Kaufman. We're going to take a break. We'll come on back. We'll update you on Dodgers Phillies and get you best bets on the way out before Monday Night Football on SportsGrid.
That team are going to stretch them over the top, but I still think it's blue-collar football, Big Ten style. That's where USC has struggled. I do not think Lincoln Riley, I'm sorry, is a good head coach. He's a great quarterback whisperer. He coaches from an offensive coordinator position, doesn't make halftime adjustments, and that's where I give the edge to Bielema. I don't like this game, but I would take the points with Illinois.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There were some reports earlier this week that Russell Wilson may be sought after somewhat on during the trade deadline. A lot of people have been talking about Jameis shipping him to the Bengals as they just need a quarterback to throw the ball. I think they need to move Russell Wilson out. Even though he says he does not want to be moved, you got to get back an asset if you can.
Oh, you do? Does he go to a team like the Saints? Where does he go?
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It's time to sell high. Let's sell high now, Joe. Give me some sneaky sneakies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's Matt's favorite way to sell. Everybody knows that. All right, let's talk about David Montgomery. Look, Montgomery had a big total last week, but really most of it was on one big run. I still feel like Jahmyr Gibbs is the guy here as you continue to move forward with Detroit. I'm not saying you have to get rid of him for nothing.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
60,000 drunk New Yorkers who were there from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m., who dropped a house mortgage on a ticket to watch the United States team miss every putt that they can possibly miss, and you think someone's not going to get pissed off and curse people out? Wah! The golf fan wasn't civil. Wah!
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, my goodness. A hit. A hit. There's been 3 of them. It's good pitching. I don't know what you want me to say. Do me a favor out there. If you have no interest in the game, if it makes no difference to you, you got to root in one more strikeout for Chris, he might be beat after a Freddie Freeman double. He had a combo for Lazard and Snell. I have a total bases play I mentioned at the top of the show on the Phillies. Not hard to know where I'm at. One base. The Dodgers are at 3 bases right now as Lazard is coming out of this game. The Dodgers live. This is an interesting betting spot here. The Dodgers live are minus 390. You can get the Phillies plus a run and a half at plus 134. How expensive, and is anywhere else going to do 2.5? We'll get you all the best bets before we get out of here, but this is a big spot in this baseball game. And, we can... No, this is 1.5 anywhere you look, so that 134 is going to be good. Who do you have coming up here? So you're going to the bullpen. Up comes Tommy Edman, followed by Kike, and then Miguel Rojas. If you get out of it, 1.5 is... you're happy to have it. You're happy to have it, but if you fully think they get out of it, you're better playing the plus 280, which is a big-time number. Obviously, sack fly. Are they going infield in? Because that leaves you more open to multiple runs scoring. It's not a spot to jump in, I don't think. You play under 4.5? Wow, total 3.5 in one spot, 4.5 in another. Expensive to the over 3.5, expensive to the under 4.5. I almost don't mind over 3.5. I know that I was just saying, what if they keep them off the base paths? But if they don't, can this inning get downhill? Yes. And then Snell's probably done at 99 pitches. What's the best we could do on a 3.5? I'm seeing minus, let's see. I don't mind an in-game bet for the people with you right here on SportsGrid, following the game between the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies. This game in a real big spot here. Oh, I'm seeing 3.5, 115. I can't be that far behind. That's a go for me. That's a go for me. Is it a go for you? Is it a go for anyone in the back? Is anybody willing to get in the mix here? I'm seeing 3.5, 115. Phils can't get shut out in this game. I refuse. Minus 110 now. See, because I'm a decade behind, and it's already a 2-strike count on Edman. All right, we'll cheat. Let's do best bets here, okay? Best bets. AJ, Jags, plus the 3.5 on a Monday night. Don't mind it. Do not mind that. Eileen Jacksonville. Pacheco over the long run, 9.5 for Sam. Chris has got a Jags first half team total over the 9.5. Give me the over 45.5 full game. I think this is the spot for points. That Jags defense has been very, very reliant this year on turnovers. If they make them, short fields, points, great. I think Mahomes can play well tonight. I think the Jags offense, though, is due for a big game. Get Brian Thomas going, get Travis Hunter going. Of course, the ground game's been legit with Travis Etienne. I think this is a spot where these two teams each get to 24. This game maybe lands 27-24, and we play through the 45.5. How about a primetime producer parlay? If you'd like to get in the mix with the fellas here, tick under 5-1. You've got Worthy anytime touchdown. De'Ami Brown for 20. Travis Hunter for 30. That is a plus 482. Update in the baseball. I believe, if I'm right, and I'm a decade behind, but I'm trying to cheat as much as I can, I believe you have a Dodger lead. And if that is the case, then you're going to see a lot of moving numbers. Looks like the Dodgers are going to take the lead here and potentially take a 2-0 series lead in Philadelphia. A lot of game left, though. It'll be covered on In Game Live tonight with Gabriel Morency and Scott Wetzel along with the Jags and the Chiefs. We'll see you tomorrow on Game Time Decisions.